Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Ghost Alex, and today I'm showing you my 5 highest clears for Knull World Boss Legend so that you can get some ideas for how I'm utilizing my roster, which characters I'm using to do the majority of the damage, and also how I'm spreading out my leaderships and supports to make the most of my roster while also clearing the highest stages, given that there are stage restrictions. So you should watch this video if you want to see, how far I can push without using reforged CTPs, and also how and which characters stack up as the best and how they're utilized in tandem together to make really good teams to push, close to stage 50 in some cases of World Boss Legend. So throughout this video, I just want to remind you guys I have 22% Pierce, and I'm utilizing 3 villain teams and then 2 hero teams at various difficulties. And then I'm just going to talk through the runs here. I've already done these runs, so this is pre-recorded gameplay footage, and then I'm just speaking over top of it. I generally don't do these videos, so they're a little bit new to me, but this is also the start of me getting back on my Grizzy. That's right, I'm getting back on the grind. I'm going to start doing 2 videos a day, every single day. It's sort of a holiday thing for me, trying to be able to give all my kids Christmas presents. I got kids over here, kids in Korea. I'm just kidding, I don't have any children. But anywho, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know which video topics you want to see videos about, because I'm going to be making so many more videos than I've been lately, so I'm going to need a lot more ideas for content. So this is the first clear here. This is stage 39. I promise I don't have any kids. This is stage 39 of Knull, featuring Mephisto doing the majority of the damage with the Cyclops leadership and Insight CTP. Both Cyclops and Taskmaster have an Insight. Really only one of them needs to. But one of the most important things about this clear is that you can actually chain iframes with Mephisto. It's going to take me about 15 seconds. If you watch the co-op skill cooldown, it's going to take me about that long to show you. But this is a trick that you can use with a lot of other characters, and I started using it with Mephisto, and then I realized I could use it with other characters, like you'll see later on in the video when I do it with Makari. And basically you chain iframe skills to the point where Knull can't attack you, and you can actually shave a ton of time off of your clears. So even if you're not at this high level of world boss, you can still use a lot of the strategies that I'm using at higher stages on lower stages to great effect. So here I'm just basically, spamming my skills. I'm doing my 2-5-4 combo and then getting the 6th skill off. The thing you have to remember about Mephisto is you never press the 3rd skill after you've transformed into sort of goat form with the horns, because this is the form you use against villains. There I was able to dodge his buff removal skill. I did take a bunch of damage here, but thankfully I didn't die, and thankfully Mephisto has a revive, so even if I did die, it wouldn't be too big of a deal. I did play it a little bit too risky with the second set of spikes bouncing off the wall and almost hitting me, but we're doing really good right now. Here I waited too long to press the 6th skill, and I actually just didn't get enough damage off, and I also switched. Generally speaking, you don't want to switch as Mephisto because you'll have to recast the 3rd skill, so you may have to switch to Mephisto, but when you switch back to him, when you switch away from him and switch back to him, remember you always have to start with the 3rd skill. Even nowadays, I make that mistake sometimes. He's still the only character in the game that has a transforming skill like that, which is so cool, and I really hope we get to see more of those, because we've seen, Hela and Wolverine both have Knull's passive as part of their base kit. Well, as part of their artifact kit, but it's part of their characters now. So I would love to see transforming skills being a part of newer characters to sort of mimic Mephisto. So there, to get from 9 bars down to 7, I played very conservatively. I didn't play conservatively. I popped the tier 3 late. That's what I did wrong, yeah. So normally I would have the tier 3 up and ready to go here. I didn't. So I basically have to do a little bit of chip damage, but as you can see, I'm taking too much damage. So it's just not worth it at this point. This clear is generally pretty straightforward for me. This is the highest stage that villains can go because the restrictions change after 39 into 40. So this is honestly where this is where the bulk of my clears come from. 3 out of my 5 clears come from stage 39. So it has gotten a little bit easier now with not only my Pierce, but also my Raid level, my Conqueror level, and generally having the ability to stack 1 or 2 supports in each clear. So that was Mephisto. This is generally a pretty easy clear. I can do this one without much stress or pressure. Those are my rewards there, and we're on to the next one. This second clear is also pretty easy. As you can see, I'm stacking Black Order characters. I really love this team because of how thematic it is and how well these characters work together. Really, the only negative, the only downside to this team, I have to say, is that sometimes, because they're related characters, because they're all part of the Black Order, they strike for each other, and sometimes you do want to switch. I think the fastest way to clear with this team, if you did have this exact team, would be to switch more aggressively between Supergiant and Black Dwarf. Keep in mind that at this stage, at this level, Supergiant does more damage for me than Black Dwarf, and they both have a CTP. Supergiant has a Judgment, Black Dwarf has an Energy, but yeah, Supergiant does out DPS Black Dwarf, even with the chain hit there. So generally speaking, you're going to want to keep her in a little bit more, because even if you switch to each of them, there's only 10 seconds, and the cooldown on the Awakening skill is 30. So you do want to keep that in mind in the back of your head, which is one of the things that I really like about this clear, is that you're balancing that timer in your head and remembering it's been about 30 seconds, time to switch, time to unload, and you get these really nice, satisfying bursts of damage in between. But generally speaking, again, this is a pretty easy clear. My Proxima could have an Insight CTP equipped to make this clear faster, but right now she actually still has an Energy. I debated whether or not I wanted to take it off of her and give her an Insight, because I really don't use her for 99% of this run. I only ever use Proxima to protect from Knull killing my Supergiant or my Black Dwarf. And actually, for those of you wondering, I have been able to clear this stage from about 15 bars down to 0 after losing one of my two main clears, either losing Supergiant or losing Black Dwarf. Generally speaking, I don't want to lose either one of them. As you can see there, I'm switching to Proxima to protect them from those spike skills. Even like worst case scenario, let's say Bacon comes over and, you know, distracts me, he bites my foot or something. He doesn't bite generally, but let's just say whatever, something happens, right? Some freak accident, Proxima will die there instead of Supergiant or Black Dwarf. But yeah, just switching in between them, popping off the Awakening skill. I'm using the wall to make sure that Supergiant doesn't move too far away. That's still the biggest criticism of the Black Order characters, that they're very annoying to play with the Awakening skill because it sends them so far back. It's not as bad for Black Dwarf as it is for Supergiant, because Supergiant only has one skill that you can move forward with reliably after 6, which is 3. So if you're ever stuck on the 6th skill and you really want to get in front of the boss, you would do 3. But generally speaking, you want to end your rotation with 3, not have 3 in the middle. So you sort of have to, you know, weigh your losses versus what you're going to lose by not being able to cancel into any other skill. So yeah, this is a pretty straightforward clear. I'm switching a lot more aggressively now to try to squeeze in more damage because I'm feeling the rhythm. Here, Proxima almost ends up striking for me, which would have possibly finished off Supergiant. Like, I would have gotten trapped, basically, because I was trying to squeeze out more damage, playing really aggressively. But yeah, otherwise, this team is really, really fun. I like this team. Obviously, I definitely think that Supergiant could clear this on her own without Black Dwarf. She could carry. So if you wanted to stretch your roster out more, let's say you didn't have Mephisto, I could rotate Black Dwarf up to that team that I just cleared Mephisto with. Or I guess I would rotate Supergiant there, because she can take advantage of Cyclops' full lead, full support, and then do a different team with Black Dwarf. But yeah, they can both definitely do it. It's just a matter of me having too much choice now. I'm kind of spoiled for choice in the villain category because I have them all built up. Here, I'm just doing chip damage and playing conservatively with Proxima because I don't want anything bad to happen. I'm so close to the end of the run that I don't want it to be ruined or potentially ruined by Cull Obsidian or Supergiant dying to some freak accident from Knull. Here, Black Dwarf is really good against the pre-Thor stun phase because he has guard break immunity, so you can't get knocked back by Knull. You still want to wait for him to sort of begin his self-stabbing Knull cage phase before you go into your Transcendence. I find that when Knull gets to the middle at 7 bars, if you pop your Transcendence right away, sometimes it gets interrupted. It's kind of weird. It will always get interrupted when Thor arrives, but I mean, it can also get interrupted at the very beginning for some reason. There's just like a small transition. But there are my rewards, and we're on to number 3. Bing bong! On to number 3. And I'm actually recording this all in one go, so I'm a little bit out of breath at the moment. That's fine. We have basically Moonstone hard carrying here on 39 with Ebony Maw and Mystique. Now, I just did something really good. You probably want to go back and re-watch what I just did. I started off with her rotation. I popped off the 4 cancel, 6 cancel, 5 cancel, 3 combo, and I know that that's going to do enough damage to push Knull to his first cage phase. So then I just skirt around the tornadoes, wait for the symbiote sludge to, you know, cover the ground, and then I pop the co-op skill. But I do so in a rhythm that actually leads into my next rotation. So although it's not a full rotation for Moonstone, it's not the 4-5-3 combo, and it's not even the 5-3 combo, but it is the lingering explosions on her 6th skill combined with her 3rd skill that she does with the co-op. And it actually works out really nicely because the damage flows pretty well. You get like a couple of extra bars, and then it means that your 2nd rotation, which should actually be your 3rd rotation but isn't, will feature the accumulation again, the 4-5-3 accumulation, and you actually still have leftover accumulation from your first rotation when you do hit that co-op at around 352 on the timer. So she clears this blazingly fast. For those of you wondering, since this is my third villain team, no, I do not clear any stages of Knull with Hela right now. I would like to clear with Hela. She has a mighty CTP of Destruction, my only reforged offensive CTP, but currently I can't find a team for her. She does need at least one support, possibly double support to do stage 39, and unfortunately, as you guys can see from these clears, I'm using up all of my villain supports. I'm using 2 for Moonstone, 1 for the Black Order, and then 1 for Mephisto. So that's kind of how it shakes out right now. If obviously I had PvP built Mephisto, or if my Black Order was built differently, then I would throw Hela in there instead. But right now, this is how it works. And although I'm not the biggest fan of Moonstone, and I've kind of made that clear many times when I reviewed her, I'm not the biggest fan of her playstyle. I don't like that she gets guard broken and kind of fits in too well with a mighty CTP of energy. I still think that she's more consistent than Hela for me at this point. I have very little practice with mighty CTPs and the charge mechanics, so that's probably why. Here I tried to duplicate the co-op proc and I failed, so that's why I'm going right back into my 5-4-5-3 combo. I also used the iframe on 3 to dodge the buff removal attack that Knull does, where he spreads out those symbiote tendrils and removes all of your buffs. That's usually pretty bad. Here I switched to Ebony. Ebony used to have a judgment, so he could actually do decent damage on this stage, but now he has an insight because my Mystique still has a rage for ABX. So I switched to Ebony just to protect Moonstone from the jump attacks that Knull does, because those can one-shot on stage 39. They absolutely can one-shot Moonstone, unfortunately. She has very low HP and very low defenses. So I basically just use Ebony in the same way that I use Proxima for the Black Order clear, just as a protection. So yeah, if you're finding yourself getting to the midway points of fights against Knull or Mephisto and then having your main DPS dying through some sort of accident in between phases or in between special attacks, you can consider using this strategy that I use of switching. See, there I also switched because I just didn't want to risk Moonstone dying to one of those purple circles that explode. Yeah, she can dodge them, but if she gets hit by more than one of them, it's usually lights out for her, or she's very low HP at that point if she gets hit by a couple of them. And then being low HP going into this last phase is basically a no-no. For this last phase, you have to be disciplined. You have to save Moonstone's awakening skill. You can try to risk it, but it's the only skill that gives her invincibility, so you want to keep that so she doesn't get knocked back. And as you can see, she does a juicy, basically almost 5 full bars of damage, which essentially is the nail in the coffin here. Knull is not going to be able to come back from this. I have 30 seconds or 25 seconds to do these last bar and change. And although Ebony is limping to the finish line, Moonstone does finish him off here. My proc was actually late, unfortunately, but yeah, we get that one done. So that's pretty competitive with how long it takes my Hela to clear with 2 supports. She does take about 4 minutes. So I don't really see much of a difference, and because I'm into the rhythm of playing Moonstone, I don't feel the need to switch yet. I might switch if I'm bored of Moonstone, but I'm not. Another character that I'm not bored of, but I don't like the playstyle of, is the 2 rotation tier 3 spam Sharon Rogers. Now, I will be honest with you guys, this was not my first attempt. I did attempt this about 10 times before I was able to get it to be this smooth. And I say that because this is a very good run for the 2 rotation tier 3 spam. I'm not a big enjoyer of this gameplay for Sharon Rogers, this like super spammy to try to get the tier 3 off every 2 rotations, but it can work. Some players have a lot of success with it. I'm not saying it's a bad style or a bad way of playing. I'm just saying it doesn't suit my way of playing. I like to play a little bit more relaxed. I'm 30 years old. I want to give my fingers a little bit, you know, a little bit of time off rather than running them down to the bone again, aka carpal tunnel syndrome in the making. So yeah, I did this sort of frenetic rotation for Sharon Rogers in the first half, in the first phase, just to show you guys what it looks like and to show you, you know, the pros and cons of it. I do get a little bit unlucky getting slapped here by the... Actually, I got a little bit lucky getting slapped by the big tentacle there. But yeah, so she clears that really fast. You know, we're down to stage 34 now. So rather than doing a 39 villain, we're a 34 blast. We have Spectrum lead. I probably should have talked about the team a little bit more. We have Spectrum lead with Superior Iron Man. And I actually love this team because Superior Iron Man does nothing until the end, and then he pops off. So that's what I just really enjoy about this team. It's very consistent when you play Sharon Rogers a little bit more conservatively, I find, which, again, I'm looking for consistency in my world boss clears nowadays because I don't want to be playing world boss for an hour. Like, there's a lot of other content in Marvel Future Fight, and so I think, you know, having to reset over and over again is just something that's not attractive to me. Some players are fine with it, some players don't mind, and that's cool for them. But for me, I want to go in 5 times, and I want to clear it 5 times, right? The more I reset, the more frustrating it is, and the less I enjoy it. So here we did experience some issues with just procs not lining up properly and Knull not really letting us accumulate enough damage. So I went ahead and did some chip damage with Iron Man to get it done. Also, he has superior movement speed, so I can position better for this phase thing. Here I'm going to use the wall again to help me accumulate well. The other kind of frustrating thing with Sharon is that sometimes, so here the accumulation didn't really work, that's fine. But sometimes Knull interrupts her 5th skill and actually stops you from healing. And at this high of a stage, even though Sharon does have a heal on her 5th, you don't actually get to pop it off that often. There I got super unlucky. The tornado hit me and stopped me from doing my 3rd skill, which basically kind of, it didn't delay me by much, but it stopped me from being able to pop off the 4th skill and do the full rotation. Here I messed up. I should have popped the tier 3. I realized it sort of as Iron Man was in his rotation, but I wasn't able to pull it off. Here I'm risking Sharon dying by taking too much damage from those circles. She did get hit by one of them. It didn't do that much damage, but if all of them had hit her, she may have died. But at that point, I realized the timer was a little bit low, and I was like, you know, it's kind of now or never type thing. I don't really want this run to be too tight. So all that work resetting for that first phase rush really didn't end up paying off too much because we sort of lost a step in the phase 2 runs from 30 down to like 15. But here Iron Man does pretty well. His proc just disappears and takes forever to activate, so it actually does like embarrassingly low damage. I was honestly confused for a second. I thought I had maybe unequipped my CTP of energy from Iron Man because the damage was just ridiculously low, but you know, we'll deal with it. There, I would prefer if Sharon doesn't get hit and doesn't risk getting stunned here, so I switch to Spectrum. She gets stunned, that's fine. This, honestly, that part right there can KO your character, the stun plus that red-black beam that he does. So I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to risk it. We have the tier 3 setup for Sharon. We're all ready to go. We're just going to do 5 or 3, 4, 3, 5, 4, 3, 4, 5, or 3, 3, 4, 6 to pop off the accumulation plus the invincibility to stop her from getting knocked back. And then here's the best part. This is what I love about this team. Iron Man just comes in and pops off 3, 5, 6, and he just lights out for Knull. I love that. Iron Man just you know, he just needs that uniform effect to kick in, and he just completely cleans house. Absolutely love it. Huge bing bong. And we're on to the Makari clear, and this is actually my highest clear. I'm super impressed with this one. This is stage 49 of Knull, so we jump up 10 stages. We actually jump up 15 from the 34 that I was doing with Sharon, up to 49 with the Bay Makari. This is the highest stage that I can do currently, and unsurprisingly, it's on one of the best characters in the game now. And what I want to tell you is a couple of things. One, my Makari does have her artifact. It's only a 3-star version, so it's farmable. It's not a paywall or anything like that. You do need to spend the crystals to unlock her her epic quest, but you're going to need them to get Makari anyways, so it's kind of a moot point. And then we have Wave and White Fox. So we are double stacking the leads, but they're both speed types and they're both heroes, so it works. It's really, really good here. And Makari just runs show. You can see here she tanks all this poison damage. She just does amazing damage. I think a couple of times I do miss and I cancel the 3rd skill a little bit too early, but otherwise she's super smooth and super consistent. For those of you wondering who have been watching for about a minute now of this clear, I am using a CTP of Rage. So if you were furiously typing in the comments that I was missing all my procs like a noob, I am in fact not missing any of my procs because the Rage proc activates for the full 5 seconds. So that's the really cool thing that I realized about, well, not that I realized, that I found out through testing with Makari. She is absolutely able to clear this stage with an energy, CTP, but she can also clear it with a Rage, which I think is so impressive because Rage is going to be better for ABX, and it's just easier to play, right? I talked about how I'm not looking to reset over and over again, and generally speaking, I don't miss too many of Makari's procs with an energy anywho. I'm going to save the Awakening skill here. But yeah, if you're the type of person who has a bit of frustration with Makari procs, consider a Rage. So here I'm going to show you guys, I think it's here that I show you guys that you can stack iframes. So So I'm stacking the iframe on 4 into 3 into 5. No, it's not here. It's not here. But it'll happen here with Makari. I'm going to show you guys when the co-op skill is down. Basically, she has an iframe on 4, she has an iframe on 3, and she has an iframe on 5. And at this point, I'm going to freeze. It's a little bit further into the fight. I basically freeze Knull in place, and he doesn't do anything. And he just basically watches me for a good 10 seconds because I'm chaining iframes over and over again, and he has no one to target. It's really funny. It's going to happen here because we have the co-op skill. So I'm going to do 4, 3, 6, 5. And then I realize that I have the opportunity, so I do the co-op skill here, and I chain the iframe, and look, he just stands there. And then I'm going to chain 4, and then I'm going to chain 3, and then I'm going to chain 5 again. So Knull literally stands there for like 10 plus seconds doing nothing. I get a free 6 bars of damage, 2 full rotations worth of damage, because he has no target. And you can do this with any character that can chain iframes like this, that are uninterrupted iframes. You know, if there's an iframe with a gap in the middle, like some of Wolverine's skills, then it doesn't work as well. But for someone like Makari, it works perfectly. So just to recap what I did 4 iframe into 3 iframe into 6 iframe into 5 iframe. And then when 5 was nearing the end, I popped the co-op skill, which is another 5th skill. So I just basically chained the 5th skill into another 5th skill iframe. And then by that time, by the second 5th skill being almost over, the 4th skill is ready. It's off cooldown. So then I popped 4 again, and then I slowly, like, I delay canceled that into 3, and then I delay canceled that into 5. So we actually got off 3 5 skills in total. There, I got a little bit unlucky. I got popped by one of those attacks, so I decided to play it a bit conservatively. Whenever my characters take more than like 25% of their damage, especially at this high of a stage, I don't want to risk them taking more damage, because Knull, see, he can pop off and do 30k in an instant. And I've had so many runs, you know, over the years. Well, we've only had Knull out for about a year now, but I've had so many runs over the year where you think you're doing just fine, and then Knull hits you 1, 2, 3 times, and you're done. Or you're at like 5% HP. And then suddenly the run's over, or the run's taking too long, or you run out of time. So yeah, I like to play it conservatively in this last phase, especially when I know I have time, because once you trigger this moment here, you've limited your amount of time you have, right? So as long as you trigger this moment with about 35 seconds, you're fine. But if you have more than 35 seconds left, then it's always fine to just take it slow, right? It's only when you're running out of time before Thor shows up that it's a problem. But here, you know, 40 seconds left with Thor showing up, that's fine, right? I'm not even going to be able to play out the full 40 seconds anyways because of Knull's kill timer. So it's just fine. So yeah, this run ends pretty smoothly. For those of you wondering, I would clear this faster with an energy. I'd probably clear it at least 30 seconds faster, maybe a little bit more than 30 seconds faster. But the fact that she can do it with a rage makes it easier for me, less headache, and it's more flexibility for her because she can then do other content. So I absolutely love that clear, and those are my 5 clears of Knull, and the highest I can go at current. So we've got stage 49 with Makari leading the way. We've got stage 39 with Mephisto, 39 with the Black Order, 39 with Moonstone, and then 34 with Sharon Rogers. Those are my 5 team clears. Hit me up in the comment down below with your 5 clears. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.